Hi, my name is Fernando Villalpando Nieves. I belong to Group 2nd A for Morning Mechatronics. This is my final project for the second semester in English with the teacher María Rocío Villegas Arroyo. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am going to talk to you about the topic of interest that I chose. This topic is nuclear energy, as this type of energy causes damage to the Earth and the living beings that make up the planet. We start. Firstly, we must know what nuclear energy is and how it is obtained. Nuclear energy is a type of energy from the reaction within the nucleus of atoms. As we already know, atoms are the minimum portion of matter that make up the elements, molecules, nanoparticles, particles, and the materials. Also, we know that atoms have nuclei where neutrons and protons meet, as well as orbital where electrons meet. But where does nuclear energy come from? Nuclear energy is obtained from the alteration of the nucleus of these atoms, releasing a large amount of energy, which is later transformed into electrical energy. To do this, there are two ways to produce nuclear energy, and I will explain that you below. The first type of energy is known as nuclear fission, and this occurs when the nucleus of an atom is divided. How do you break the nucleus of an atom? This is achieved by bombarding a heavy atom with electrons, so that it divides into lighter atoms that will continue to divide exponentially in a chain reaction. There are two ways in which this is done. The first can help humanity and the other to affect it. The first is done in nuclear power plants, where chain reactions are controlled by storing electrical energy. The second has been used to destroy humanity, using atomic bombs, where the chain reaction is not controlled. This energy is locked up, and the moment of colliding, this energy is released. This caused a lot of damage to humanity in the past. I already explained one way to get nuclear energy. Now we are going with the second one, which is nuclear fusion. This energy is simply the union of two atoms. But how is the union of two atoms achieved? The way to unite this sounds simple, but it is more complex than it sounds, making atoms collide at high speed. Although this has not yet been achieved by humans, we only know that it is possible within the stars, such as the Sun. It has been tried to replicate this, but it has only been possible to obtain energy from the attraction of this one passing at high speed. An example of this phenomenon is simulated in the Hadron Collider location in Switzerland. We already know how this nuclear energy is obtained, but I have not explained how it affects the planets. Is it clean energy or not? This has not been defined. There are still doubts about how to mark it, since the energy caused is harmful, but if it is treated well, it is stored and converted to electrical energy. In an adequate way, it is not. The radiation that produces energy can never be fully stored. The bad part of producing nuclear energy is the radiation that cannot be stored. This energy will not disappear until it has reacted with other atoms. This affects living beings in different ways, but basically it is due to the damage generated to cells, mainly DNA mutation. The effects of this energy in the body depend on how exposed you have been trained to radiation. The most serious symptoms in humans are headache, nausea, and death from long-term exposure. Other people are prone to long-term cancer. Now we will talk about how those it affect environment. The plants, in case of having been exposed to a large amount of radiation, will die to do the affection of their cells. But it was discovered that this can continue to reproduce. The plants that are born from the mutation of their predecessor are highly prone to not evolving properly and not completing their photosynthesis correctly. In the same way, the offspring of a plant that had a mutation due to the radiation will die or be highly prone to death. Fauna is also an important point to develop, since it is the basis of humanity's food. The exposure of animals affects in the same way as humans, creating cancerous tumors of all kinds. Although I mentioned what happened to human beings, plants, and animals, I did not explain the theme how to radiation that results from the producing of nuclear energy works. The human beings and all life on the planet are in consistent coexistence with radiation from that produced by the sun to that produced by household electronics. But it is now that the radiation obtained when producing nuclear energy is not the same with which we live day by day. The radiation from a nuclear power plant will depend on the distance you are from where it is produced. I already mentioned its effects on animals, plants, and humans. To end, we have already seen that the nuclear bomb is a dangerous weapon because its chain effect is not controlled. In the past, there have been attacks with these weapons. To mention an example will be the bomb dropped by the United States on Hiroshima in 1945 during the Second World War. The damage caused by these attacks is immense. Apart from the damage generated to the planet by living in uninhabitable areas, the damage to people cannot be counted. Losses of entire families without having anything to do with the war. Apart from the nuclear attacks that have been witnessed, there has been a lack of control in plants that deal with nuclear energy. An example to be mentioned is the explosion of Chernobyl power plant in 1986, located in northern Ukraine, where one is a safety test the reactor went out of control and the misfortune happened, in which two reactors co-explode and has been the largest nuclear accident at the moment. Even today, after 30 years of the accident, the area continues to have high radiation waves. In some areas you can only stay for a few hours due to the high radiation. In fact, you can only enter that area with permission from the government and specify that if something happens to you, it was at your own risk. In conclusion, the damage generated by nuclear energy are immense, not only due to the effects of pollution, but also because of the use that humans are giving it, creating destructive weapons used to kill innocent people. Thanks.